everyone. So today what we're going to do is we are going to start with our clay, and I went ahead and rolled it out, and I definitely wanted to put on that technique that I had you guys watch, because that's usually the way that I flatten my clay. Then I would just take it at the end. So that's the drop method, where you would pull back and try to flip it. That's the way I've always found that I do best with rolling it out and keeping it consistent. So right now there's a few lumps on here where it looks like some air bubbles have stretched and maybe popped or whatever. So I'm just taking this over, just smoothing it a little bit with this card before I lay out anything else. Okay? Now, as you're doing stuff with slabs, what you're going to have to watch is slabs will dry out super quick. And what we need to do is go ahead and measure here what I'm going to be cutting out. I want to try to get all of my slabs cut out on the same day. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this here. I actually have some finger marks right here from throwing it out, so I do not want to start where that would be dipping down. So the first place that I find that doesn't have those marks, I can even start over here if I want to. But I'm going to go ahead and start right here. I'm going to lay my piece down. You can see it got a little bit bent. So I'm going to take a ruler. I'm going to lay this down here for my straight edge to make sure that I'm cutting it nice and straight. And I'm going to take a nail, because I don't have a needle tool with me, and I'm going to push all the way down and keep that nail right up against the edge. I'm going to be doing that all the way around. I always start towards the edge to make sure that I can get as many pieces out of one slab as possible. In reality, I usually like to get all of my slabs out of one piece, so that way I know that they're all the exact same consistency. Now, last week I had you, well, I guess 2 weeks ago because of spring break, I had you making your cutouts, and I told you then I didn't want you to go ahead and cut out your slabs because they would dry out over spring break, and we did not want that. Okay? So I have one. I'm just going to leave that there for now. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and fit another one right here. I've already got that cut, so I'm going to line this up right here so I don't have to cut it again. And do the exact same thing. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to stand up for this so I can see better. And do the same over here. Now, anytime you're rolling out slabs, part of what you need to do is make sure that you can pick up your clay before you begin cutting it. If it is stuck to your surface, like if you're using a plastic surface, you're not going to be able to roll your clay out on that without having it stick. So the solution to that is a little bit of cooking spray, or like wiping some vegetable oil over it real quick. That'll keep it from sticking to it. Or you can use baby powder. If you put baby powder and cooking oil on it, it's not going to work very well. It's going to clump and turn out really terribly. Okay? So now I can just show you here. I'm going to roll this piece off so it's cut very nicely there. And I'm just going to lay that part to the side. Now I have this here. Once again, I can lay that right up to that edge, so that way I can get as much out of it as possible. And then after that, what I will do is I'm going to stack these pieces up according to their shape. And so that way we can try to work on these again tomorrow. I'm going to put dry paper towels in between each one of these layers. Okay? So what I will do here, and this, I'm trying to make a box, so you can see here's my piece. I'm going to lay this flat. I'm going to take my paper towel. Now this is more absorbent than the paper towel that we had at school, so I'm going to put one under it and one on top of it. And anytime you make slabs, you want to make sure that you have something that's going to kind of keep it flat. You're going to want it to be in your bag so it doesn't dry out completely, but you also want to be so right here you can see I'm kind of trying to make an edge going around it, so that way I can see exactly where the edges are. So I can pull this one up and lay it directly on top of it. We don't want these to adjust at all. Okay, and so this needs to move down just a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to worry about my edges too much at the moment, because when they're leather hard, before I connect them, I will kind of scrape those a little bit. So there's my first one, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in a bag. Very, very carefully. And sometimes what I will do is kind of like the idea of, if you've ever in elementary painted on paper, as things begin to dry out, it wants to curl up on the edges. So sometimes I will put like a book or something on top of this. So I'm going to lay this over here on the table. I have decided to move everything out to the garage so I can leave this set up as we are working. So I'm going to put that right there. And then later on I'll put a book on top of it, so that way these stay flat between now and tomorrow. I can even put a piece of paper towel on the top piece if you want to. That way it's absorbing from both sides, which I'm going to go ahead and do real quick. I'm going to open that back up and do that, because that way the bottom piece is going to have as much moisture absorbed from it as the top piece would. So do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of flatten it there. And I'm just going to go back and close this. On this, I wouldn't worry about trying to have the handles underneath. I would just kind of pull it over here to the side to make sure that we are good to go. So your goal today is to roll out your slabs and to be able to stack them on top of each other. So that way our next step is going to be able to be putting them all together. All right? Have a great one.